We'll start with you, Ben, and obviously, Bruce gets through a different story arc in this one. What can we say about him and how he's been influenced by Superman's death?
Well, he's been inspired by Superman's death to try to bring these superhuman beings together to save the world. He started off in the last movie in a very angry, mournful place, and he's become somebody who has to work against his own sort of loner instincts to try to put together a group to save the world.
And he's more self-reflective in this one. He puts himself more in question, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he's questioning himself in BVS. I kind of liked some of the existential aspect of that movie. He reflected on how he's older than his father ever was. I like that moment. In this one, he's more outward looking. He's not doing as much sort of inner searching. He's going like, this, I believe we're in a real danger, and we need to get these people to come to work together to win this fight.
Cyborg has also a very interesting story arc. We see him in full-fledged for the first time. So what are you most excited about? The fans have been waiting for this. They always wait for their favorite characters. So what do you want to tell them?
What I want to tell them is thank you, first off, for the anticipation, because obviously, Cyborg is an addition to the Justice League because of his popularity and because of what he means in the technical world of things. Because we as human beings, we've evolved so far now. I mean, it makes Cyborg a very relevant and very powerful addition to the Justice League. When you think about all of the issues we have with cybersecurity and those sorts of things, like it's a very real thing. You've got a person who could, if he wanted to, with a thought, crash the entire electrical grids of every country, or launch all the nuclear devices, or just completely, or do whatever he wants as far as that's concerned. So I think our dependency on technology has lifted him up to that status. So thank you.
What was it like on a day-to-day basis, stepping up on those types of sets with everybody in costume? I mean, it must have been so fun.
That's what made it believable for us. That's what allowed us to kind of immerse ourselves in the roles, where seeing all the other people look like their characters.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I work with some of the best in the business because they're able to look at me in my pajamas and keep a straight face as I've got this LED light bouncing up and down. It helped me feel kind of like Cyborg, because I was so different than everyone else who had practical costumes. And that's one of his big hang-ups is, he can't live a normal life. He can't be like the other people who can take their costumes on, put their costumes on and take them off. Yeah.
The fans go crazy at the mere idea of the existence of the Justice League. So what are you most looking forward to them seeing?
I think there's some pretty inspiring moments when they come together at the end. I don't want to give it all away, but there's something that's an event that happens that's very satisfying and fun in the final battle that these fans will enjoy.
Yeah, for me, the personal growth for each of the characters. They're all dealing with their own issues in their own separate ways, and I think through finding each other, they're able to find some sort of, not completely solve their own personal issues, but begin the steps of that sort of rebuilding.
Yeah, and this is a bunch of very solitary characters who all of a sudden come together and find the common grounds that they probably did not expect. How much can we say about this, Batman and Superman, Cyborg and the Flash, etc.? How much can we divulge?
You can say that it's great and that people should come buy a ticket.
Or 2 or 3.
Sure.
And then one in IMAX.
There are a lot of formats to watch the movie.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Or other people to come and see it with.
Exactly. Bring your friends. Bring your friends.
Group rates, discounts, bring your whole class.
Senior citizen tickets, everything.
Wear an old age disguise to get half off.
I want to talk about the Batmobile. This car is going to have a lot of jealous male fans and probably a lot of girls as well. If you had a car like that, it's a Mercedes VTG, I don't know what it was, but if you had a car like that, where would you go with it and who would you take?
The Batmobile is the ultimate toy. It's the ultimate feature. Since the very beginning of Batman, the Batmobile has always been the coolest thing, and it's really interesting to look at the evolution of that car by itself. It says a lot about how our tastes kind of change, what we think is cool changes, but it's definitely that's the thing people want to come take a picture with. That's the thing people want to sit in. That's the touchstone. The Batmobile. That's when you know it's the real thing.
Yeah.
Does it happen on set that you would want to use toys that you were not actually meant to to use, like, go in the Batmobile even if you were not invited?
Absolutely, absolutely. I'd be over there like picking up all the batarangs, the set designer, or the set decoration. People would be like, "You got to put that back. We had it this way, not that way." We're playing with everything. We have some scenes in the Batcave and in the Wayne hangar, and you're just like a kid in a candy shop. Because when it comes to gadgets and just like an actual physical props, Batman he's got them all.
Let's talk about the acting league. Basically, this is a big ensemble, and everybody seems to have gotten along beautifully. How did you work with the other actors? How was it?
We got lucky. It was a great group of people. I remember being at Gal's screen test, and I remember being so excited to work with her because she was so great, just in the audition. And I was a big fan of Jason's, and so I was really excited that he came onto the movie. And Ezra was so funny, and Ray had such gravitas to his performance that everybody was filling their roles so elegantly. It was inspiring to me to make sure I was up to snuff.
Work. You had a pajama on set, everybody keeps saying. So what were you wearing? What was that costume?
The costume was like spandex. It was like a onesie. Something you'd wear when you're like 3 years old, 4 years old, or however old you want to be. I mean, you're never too old for a onesie. But, it was like a patchwork quilt. It'd be like a brown arm, blue arm on that side, and it would have these little flat white dots on them so the VisFX people could differentiate your movements. For me, it was kind of cool at first, except when Jason and the crew were laughing because I'm cold and my nipples are poking through. But outside of that, I had a pretty decent time. I had a really good time. I don't think I'll find another costume as comfortable as that.
And you can ask Ben about the costume.
Absolutely. I've got no complaints.
Let's talk about that scene. Everybody's expecting that scene where all the superheroes are coming together and putting their forces together for a good cause. How exciting was it that day on set? What was the feeling for everyone?
I think there was a lot of anticipation, part of everybody for that moment because, we had been kind of creeping towards it piece by piece, seeing one person in a costume, then another person, then this piece of set, and, all that stuff, it kind of gets you more and more excited and built up to the day when we all shot, all together, all in our costumes, and it finally kind of felt like, well, this is it. This is the movie,
Yeah, and Zach he's like the proud dad. Every time we shoot something, like the next day he'd be watching the dailies, and I'd poke over his shoulder, and I'm like, what are you watching, Zach? And he's like, oh, check this out. And I'm like, wow. Because, when you're in it, it seems much different, but when you actually see the camera moving, you see the work, you see, what they're intercutting with, I'm like, this is real, this is really it. And it's just mind-blowing.
I think the main challenge for everyone in this series of films is to do the good acting and the physical preparation at the same time. I don't underestimate how difficult it is to do both. Can we talk about that?
The acting and the physical preparation?
Yeah,
for me, because there are many different sides to it, yeah. For me, as an actor, I usually start with the physical side, particularly with Cyborg, because he is, for more, just as much machine as man at this point. And so finding the physicality for that was super, super important, but particularly because I don't have a practical costume that informs the movement. So, there was this ritual that I'd always go through before we'd start rolling, make sure my eyepiece is set correctly, and then I'd assume this posture where I sort of tilt the shoulders back and get into like a sort of power pose. And with that, I would just carry that weight with me through the scene. And, I was about 30 pounds heavier while we were shooting the movie, so I actually felt like I was in a different body in a way.
Yeah, it was really impressive to watch Ray, kind of create and conjure that movement out of nothing, and that was one of the challenges with this movie is there was a lot of stuff that we just had to imagine, and that's not easy, and because you want to have, you rely as an actor on reality, on truth, on interaction, and the more of that you have to bring from your imagination, the harder it is to affect it and, to get that quality on screen. And we were lucky. We just had a lot of really great imaginative actors.
Yeah, and just the trust that it takes, too, because, Zach sees it in a much different way than we do. So he and his VisFX team, who work together on just about everything, you just trust that you're in good hands.